Welcome, friends. We are your hosts, Sandy and Wade, baby best friends turned husband and wife and business partners.
This podcast is for the dreamers, the movers and shakers, and those who seek to attract their dream life.
Strap in. Getting magnetic in 3, 2, 1.
Like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
This moment in time, this is your time to rise.
Woo! I am excited to tell you guys about this. You've heard me talk about it before, and when I love something, I tell everyone. So if you are listening and you are a network marketer or you're an entrepreneur and you're like, how do I get organized? How do I get clarity? How do I get focused? What am I supposed to do every single day? You absolutely need to go to 90dayhabits.co and get your own copy of this journal. This journal is a 90-day habit tracker. It's a workbook where you're essentially tracking every single day your mindset work, the relationships you're building, the conversations you're having, the follow-up you're having. And in 90 days, if you're not where you want to be in your business, the answers lie in those pages. So go ahead and get yourself a copy at 90dayhabits.co, and you can use the password gettingmagnetic15 for 15% off.
Wow, we are in store for an absolute treat today. Our guest today, Marina Worre, is someone we've looked up to for years now. Being network marketing professionals, her and her husband have really done a good job from afar, digital mentors of ours, to teach and train us not to just be network marketers, but to become network marketing professionals. And she has such an empowering story. We have a lot of mutual connections that have kind of led us to today, this interview. Kayla Kraft and Sandy, we do coaching together. And then we just interviewed Fraser Brooks, who speaks super highly of Marina. And she is just, if you're in network marketing, she is a must know. She is an absolute boss. Even outside of it, she is empowering female entrepreneurs and alike, and just created like the most epic virtual stage for conferences, seminars, speaking I've ever seen. I'm excited to just really dive into Marina's story and what she has to offer, and let's go from there.
Yeah, welcome, Marina.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. It's my great honor and pleasure to spend some time with you today. So thank you for having me.
We're so happy you're here. And being that you're a guest here on Getting Magnetic, we usually love starting by asking our guests, what does getting magnetic mean to you?
I don't know, because, it's in my kind of my language to it, more of a being a badass, so that's kind of like my motto in life. And that's why I'm actually not, I haven't been that my entire life. It took me time to get into it and believe in myself, and finally not just having little signs everywhere, but actually believe with my entire core. So just being more of a, doer and a mover and a shaker, and just, live the life out loud, live the impossible.
Yes, I love that. That's so good.
Wait, I want to paint a picture. For those of you, you're listening to this, but we get to be face to face with Marina over video, and she is in her studio, her home studio, and her backdrop is like a picture of her in a leather jacket. And it makes me I do not want to cross Marina. That's just not something I want to do. So she kind of embodies that badass, woman entrepreneur.
I love it. Okay, I meant to start with this too, and I forgot, but I have a lot of Ukrainian friends, and I know that you were raised in the Soviet Union, obviously now Ukraine, and so I wanted to start and be like, Privyet, Marina.
Privyet.
Did I say that right?
Privyet.
I wanted to start like that and I forgot. Okay, but we like doing a quick little this or that before we kind of dive in, just to break the ice a little bit. So I'll start. Marina, do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Me too. All right. What about salty or savory?
Oh, salty and spicy. That's my thing.
Ooh.
I was I'm not a dessert person.
Yes.
Keep it a dessert. Give me spicy. Give me jalapenos, please.
I love that. Okay, I've seen you on both, so I need to know which one you prefer, jet or yacht.
Ooh, I cannot answer that one. That's kind of like right into the core. It's like it's the question with no answer because those two are near and dear to my heart, like in a lot of different ways. Because jet is on one side, it's a business tool that helps us to get really quickly to the places we need to be. On the other side, it's kind of it's a time machine, right? That you can get what you need and then come back and sleep in your own bed. So that's a really big deal for people who are working like super hard like us. So kind of like being nice to our bodies and everything. So it's also a piece of luxury because, it's expensive and you can never, ever justify it with just financial decisions. Like, no, it does not make sense to take a jet because your business class ticket going to cost you like 10 times less. But in our opinion, it's not the justification of money. It's how we treat and respect our time. Because I do believe that you can always get a lot of money or as much money as you want, but you will never get more time. So treating our time with respect, that's what Jets allows us to do. Yacht, on the other side, it's more of a fun thing to do. I just posted last night. I just secured the yacht that we're going to take on the Greece, around the Greek island. And it's a freaking cruise ship. Like, go to my Instagram and check it out. It's a 50-foot yacht. It's humongous. It's humongous. It's a dream stretcher on one side. It definitely made me uncomfortable writing that check. And I was just like, this is insanely unreasonable and irresponsible decision. But I like it. So I'm going to make it happen.
You just inspired me with that because Sandy and I are planning to go to Greece for our baby moon, and I'm Greek and I've never been to Greece, and now I'm
wow.
shoot, when we're doing November and we're like, we got to get to Greece for a baby moon, but now I'm like, oh man, we got to get on a 150-foot yacht while in Greece. That is the play. So thank you for lifting our vision.
Yeah, one thing I learned because I love travel, and when I lived in Italy for quite some time, so I love south part of Italy, Amalfi Coast, Positano, Capri, all that stuff. When I was watching all of those amazing places from the land, it's beautiful, gorgeous, amazing. But when you see all of that beauty from the seaside, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different experience. So when my husband and we tried it for the first time, we started with much smaller yachts, so like a dinghy. It's not really a yacht. It's like a tender for the yacht that I'm taking right now. But seeing all that beauty from the sea, it's a whole different experience. So I was like, man, I like that. Things like yachts and jets, they spoil you to the point that it's really hard to go back. But not to sound kind of like braggadocious, it's for me, it's who do you need to become in order to afford things like that? Because Eric and we did not start, with a silver spoon, neither him or I, coming from completely different backgrounds, completely different upbringings. Like you said, Sandy, I'm coming from the communist country with a whole socialism spin on it. So you can imagine how messed up my thinking was. And when I came to the United States, just the basic, simple things were so kind of like confusing to me. Like I remember Erica and I lived in Minnesota at the time, and we were walking around the lake, and he would go and say hi to everybody, and like, oh hi, hi, and people biking and running and jogging and whatever. And I'm just like, wow, a lot of people. He's like, no, I do not know them. I was like, then why did you say hi? Right. So for me, it was like a mind stretcher. It's like, how do you say hi to people that you do not know? So, but also kind of like back forward to it, we met at a different in the stage of our lives when we both had our financial Armageddon. So he lost everything that he had around the time when we met, and I lost all my business, all my assets, everything. So we both were in like a multiple 7-figure debt when we got together. So we were digging ourselves out of that hole, and now 13 years later, we have the ability to do things. So the reason why I'm telling everybody is that is, first of all, what is possible for you? We don't give ourselves enough credit, what we're capable of doing, but also we do not necessarily understand how dramatically things can change in a fairly short period of time. 12, 13 years, in my opinion, it's a very short time. You're going to get 12 years older anyway. right? Why wouldn't you be successful? Why wouldn't you be contributing and changing lives of millions of people around the world? So that's kind of like we made that decision when we got together, and by digging ourselves out of the hole and growing our brand, growing our influence, growing our reach, we were able to help a lot of other people to achieve their goals. And that's what contributed for us achieving our goal.
I love that empowering message of, one of the biggest things that stuck out to me is like, not like how far away is the jet or the yacht or whatever that I want to achieve. Like, who do I need to become to earn that, to deserve that, to allow that into my life, to receive that into my life? And I love the insight into you and Eric and, coming from not much and building what you have now. I want to backtrack a little bit because we see you now and we think of you as this, very empowering female entrepreneur, have an amazing business with your husband, Eric, network marketing pro. And we look at you as someone that'll make it happen no matter what. Have you always been that way? Can you give our listeners some insight into like who is Marina Worre before who you are today right here?
Since I was a little girl, my mom always told me that I'm powerful, I'm strong, I can achieve everything I want in life. And I was naive enough and I believed that, right? So I started my life as that bubbly bunny, I was like, I can do everything I want. I got it. I'm such a badass. And I started my own business when I was 18 years old. I joined my first network marketing company when I was 21. And even when I already joined network marketing, I was like, I thought I arrived, because like I was making already pretty significant income, especially for my age. And I just loved the entire network marketing space, just hanging out with big visionaries, with people who are dreaming and thinking outside of the box. And I was always inspired, and I would always go to all the events, all the seminars and everything. But at the same time, I did not necessarily treat it responsibly financially because like I felt like I already arrived, right? At 21. But it's interesting. So I had that confidence, but then life started happening to me. My business stopped doing as well as it was before. And it actually ended up being that I lost all of it, and including all of the assets, because we had to leverage the assets to save the business, the mistakes that you do. And that happened around the 2008. So that kind of like the real estate collapse just kind of like was a last drop, that put us down, and all of those things. And on top of that, I was coming out of the bad marriage where I was not physically abused, but verbally abused. And honestly, I don't know what's worse. Obviously, nobody have to ever experience the physical abuse in their life, not man, not woman, not a child, nobody. And for me, I feel like, I can take a punch. I feel like bruise is going to heal, and I'm going to get through that pain. But what do you do when you break my heart? How do you recover from that? When you break my soul, how do you recover from that? How do you heal that? And that's where I found myself in my mid-30s, being a single mom, lost all of my assets, and most importantly, lost myself. I lost my confidence. I lost belief in myself. I lost everything that I had prior. And it took me time to build that back. It took me time to find that voice, to find that strength again. And it took me years. It took me probably good 4, 5, 6 years, to finally realize, like, what? Of course, we all make mistakes. Of course, we fail in life. But first of all, I was able to forgive myself for all of those mistakes and failures that I had. I was able to overcome the mom guilt. And I realized that, if it is to be, it's up to me. So I have to become that powerful and a strong woman who can lead by example to my kids, first of all, to show them what's possible. Because, when I was at that moment in my life, when I just hated the reflection in the mirror, I was just like, you're the lowest scumbag. It's like, who do you think you are? You're not a powerhouse. You're not a badass. Like, how did you come up with that nonsense? So when I was at that moment, I was still kind of like guilting myself and staying in that relationship because for my kids, the mom guilt was like, maybe my ex is right. Maybe I'm a bad mom. Maybe I'm a bad wife. Maybe I'm a bad businesswoman. And this is the reason why all of those bad things have happened to us. And that's all my fault. But at the same time, that was the time when I rejoined network marketing and when I met Eric, and he told me, like, listen, what do you think is going to serve your kids best? Crying yourself to bed every single night, or living a fulfilling and loving life, when you can live at your full potential and changing lives and being happy, what do you think going to set a better example for them? And it was just like an aha moment for me, because I realized he's absolutely right. Because guess what? When my kids come to me and when somebody tells them boo, or somebody tells them that they're not good enough or not smart enough or whatever, they will come to me and I will try to encourage them. And I'll tell them, like, you guys go, you can reach for the moon, you can reach the stars, you can do whatever you want. And the obvious question would be, they would ask me, like, why you didn't do it. And I realized that if I'm not going to have an answer to that question, then I better do not go down that road. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to set an example for my kids of what's possible. I'm going to show them what love means. I'm going to show them what loving and caring family means. I'm going to show them, what's possible, And that was my inner driver to dig myself out of that hole and find my voice and find my strength. And little by little, I was able to gain that confidence back, small victories, small, constant mentorship and constant personal education and personal development helped me to shift this first, because this is the most important computer that you need to worry about. Like, this is your asset. You are the asset. You are the business. So if you do not take a good care of your mindset, nothing else really gonna matter. So I got myself on a very intense personal development journey, and here I am today.
Wow, it is so inspiring, I have to say. Like, I know between you and Eric, you guys have 5 kids, and them being around what you guys have created, like, just to think about the legacy and the ripple effect that's going to have, just because of how much you guys value and put an emphasis on personal growth and development and continuing to learn and grow is so inspiring. And I have to tell you too, just hearing your accent. So my mom was born and raised in Switzerland. And I've heard you say on podcasts before, like, sometimes there's been an underlying insecurity that you might say something wrong or pronounce it incorrectly. And being that I was raised by a foreigner, like, I learned English with my mom, basically. Like, so I have a lot of things that, like, Wade
they're so
sometimes
cute.
will make fun of me.
Her Sandyisms.
Where
like being raised by a foreign mom, like, oh, you've never heard of this, like, American
many
phrase,
expressions
babe?
I've never heard of, and so you just sharing that story about you and Eric walking around the lake and him saying hello to everyone. When I remember so fondly as a child, I'd be walking the harbor with my mom and people are like, "Hi, how are you?" And they keep walking and she's like, "Why are they asking me how I'm doing?" And they keep walking. Like, why aren't they waiting to listen? So I just had to highlight that. That was so funny. But I love your story. I love all those nuggets in there. And your story, I think, is so relatable. I know so many women. I'm specifically thinking of a couple of friends in my life that have been through some of the things you've been through in your previous marriage that have decided to stay. And I see such bravery and, like, this power in you that you walked away from that and you've completely reinvented yourself. And I wish more people had that power and belief in themselves, that even in your mid-30s, you can have a total comeback and a complete reinvention of you. So I just think that's so inspiring.
I love too, like, more is caught than taught with our kids, right? We aren't parents yet. We will be soon, but it's we can say something, but they're really watching us, right? Or let's say you're a network marketing professional and you feel like your downline or your kids or whatever. More is caught than taught. Like, lead by actions, because they're going to learn more from watching you than what you say. So, like, in Marina saying, like, they were positioning it back on me, like, why don't I go for my dreams and do all those things? That like hit me to the core.
Yes, and I think pain drives us, and oftentimes the biggest blessings come from, like, the deepest pits. Like, we always say there's always a dip before a pop. And I know in my life, like, when I reflect on where we are today and us being in business together and entrepreneurs, it took a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and a lot of loss and a lot of grief. I unexpectedly lost my mom, and we've been through quite a few things in our life that have brought us to where we are. And I think sometimes you cannot have that breakthrough moment unless you've been in the pits. So I feel like you have that perfect example of just your story and how you've evolved. I'd love to ask you, Marina, what is something that people don't know about you?
I think they do not know that I'm a shy person, because I'm an introvert, and I'm kind of like learned to be like Eric calls it, a situational extrovert, right? Because he's also considering himself introvert. I do not believe that he's introvert. I think that he's perfectly fine, in a lot of groups and big gatherings. He just does not like certain circles. That's why he's hiding from them with an excuse of being extrovert. But for me, I think it's just because I was not raised in like, oh, hi, or, yeah, let's jump in a big group hug and stuff like that. So for me, especially at the beginning when I moved, Eric has a big family. So we lived in Minnesota, and like he would just like give me like maybe like 20 minutes heads up. It's like, oh, by the way, my family's coming over. And that means that it's about 20 people to show up in my house. I was like, dude, I don't have anything in the refrigerator. I don't know how to feed all these people. I don't have enough food and all that stuff. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. We're just going to throw some chips and salsa and pizza and all that stuff. And me coming from like where I'm not used to this kind of stuff. I want to cook. I love to treat my people when they come into my home. I want to be like, that's kind of like the Ukrainian thing, be like a homemaker and doing all the things perfectly fine and cook and all that. And so when he would throw that stuff on me, I'd just freak out. So later I kind of like learned how to settle like, okay, pizza it is, boys. But I'm a shy person, and a lot of the time people did not know that, and they thought that I am not very friendly, or I'm kind of like, I have that resting bitch face because I'm just like sitting there and not interacting with each other or with all of them, but not necessarily realizing it's just my mechanism of just, being in my own corner and just kind of like gathering my courage to go and meet a bunch of new people.
Oh my gosh. I think about, and I see, we see all of your successes today where I want to get into those and creating the biggest virtual stage for conferences. I want to talk through the vision for that, being almost every network marketer's upline in Network Marketing Pro. And even before that though, I think we learn so much through failure, through learning lessons. So what is something you could look back on and be like, what is your biggest learning lesson to date, or something you learned from failure to help you get to where you are today?
So first of all, is not being afraid of failure, right? Because our mistakes, our challenges, our obstacles, that's what makes us stronger. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And I think the biggest challenge happens is when a lot of people are trying to avoid it, when they think it's something to be ashamed of, when they think it's something to, stay away from. And because we've been taught since we were little kids, don't put your dirty laundry out there in the world, and mistakes, failures considered to be dirty laundry because like, oh, you are not perfect. Oh my gosh, everybody else are, and you are the only one. Well, first of all, there is no such a thing as perfect. We all have our insecurities. We all have our weaknesses. We all have the things that we need to work on. So first of all, realizing that failure is necessary if you want to be successful. I saw the statistic a while back that shocked me to the core. 98% of people die without fulfilling their dreams. And the reason why they not go after them is because they're afraid to fail. So just think about it for a second. People are afraid to fail. And because of that, they would rather settle for the mediocre life. They would rather settle for average. They would rather settle for whatever they think is secure instead of, reaching for the stars, instead of trying to do something with their lives. If you were born poor, it's not your responsibility. But if you die poor, in my opinion, it is. Because you can find a way to tip into the world's abundance, especially inside of our profession. I do believe strongly that network marketing is a gift. We have the opportunity to average people to test their entrepreneurial muscles. They can try and start their own business with a very, very minimal investment. And they obviously, that's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time, because people think that, because the investment is so small, they don't need to work hard. The investment is not necessarily what you're putting into this business. It's your blood, sweat, and tears, your sweat equity. That's what is required. Facing your fears. That's what is required. Learning through the process, building your belief, building your confidence. That's what's required to be successful in this business. And the beauty of that, network marketing is very forgiving. You can still make money, and pretty good chunk of money, while you're learning, while you're growing, while you're on that journey. So understanding that part, and not be ashamed of failure. I do believe that everything happens for a reason. I am who I am today because of those mistakes, because of the things that I messed up and fall on my face big time, because I did not lay there. Here's the difference. There is no shame to fail. There is a shame to not stand up. It's totally cool. It's totally fine to make mistakes. It's normal. Not learning from them, it's kind of a stupid. And not making a better plan moving forward, it's not really a smart idea. But when you make a mistake, you need to learn from that and you need to move forward. You cannot just throw a pity party for yourself for the rest of your life and say, hey, look at how world is unfair and what do you expect from me? Because I can tell you millions of stories that from where I'm coming, you cannot expect anything from me because, like, guess what? I've been born and raised with a communist mentality that my brain was so washed. I'll tell you a quick story. It's kind of like off the topic, but it just helps you understand where I'm coming from. It's like, I remember I'm 7 years old. I'm coming from my school day in the first grade, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And I'm crying and kind of like, it's just enormously because Brezhnev, who was the ruler of the country at the time, died. And in my 7-year-old head, I have all these thoughts going through my mind. It's like, how am I going to live? He just died. So we were brainwashed to the point that you only can be, manipulated, not manipulated. We did not understand that word at the time, but you need to be told what to do. You need to be told how to live. And by somebody else's magic power, they're going to make your life happy. And if that magic power somehow disappears, you're going to die also because you cannot take care of yourself. You are not even a thinking organism. You're just a marionette in somebody else's, like a puppet in somebody else's theater. So that was my mindset. So going out of that shell, going out of and realizing, look, oh, I guess I'm not a puppet. I guess I have my own brain. I have my own ideas. I have my own desires. I have my own wishes and things that I would like to do in life. So like I said, you can either have, all the excuses in the world, you can blame whoever you want to blame, or you can find a way to make things happen because you cannot have both, you cannot have results and excuses. You need to kind of pick one or the other. You either can throw a pity party for yourself and stay in that state for forever. And it feels good for a second because it's never my fault. It's government. It's my company failed on me. They just changed the comp plan. They just threw a new product in the mix and that just messed up my entire business idea, whatever. Right. So you can go on that rabbit hole for forever and it feels good for a minute. But the problem is that it's not going to produce any results. It's not going to add to your bank account. It's not going to add to your self-esteem. So it's not going to change your life for the better. But taking the responsibility and realizing, what, I'm in control. I'm in charge. It's my life. Yes, not all the time things going to happen the way I want them to happen, but I'm going to control what I can control and I'm going to let go of the rest. So that's been kind of my constant realization is to, first of all, understanding that everything happens for a reason. And like you said, at some point, the biggest curse can end up being biggest blessing in the sky because it got you into that aha moment or helped you to wake up from the dream that you were living in and realize oh, wow, I can do so much more, or, oh, wow, there is so much more to life than what I thought it is.
Wow. I love listening to your stories. I got totally sucked into that and just envisioning 7-year-old Marina being devastated by that. And it's just amazing to think that you can have that mindset for a good portion of those molding years of your life, but you can totally break through. Yeah. And I love what you just said. I want to make sure everyone heard that you cannot have results and excuses. So many people have excuses nonstop every day, all the time on repeat, and they wonder why they don't have the results. And it's we have to take ownership of things and we have to own our mistakes and know that that's part of the process, lean into it, and then, get into action to make those results happen. So, I love that. Okay.
I think too, my biggest takeaway from that is Marina, literally her country had a ruler and she told that story, but to translate that to those out there listening, who are rulers in your life? Is it your parents judging you? Is it, people, your friends, giving you negative feedback? Are you letting these other people rule your decisions and how you step in bravely into what you're doing? Who is ruling? Identify that. Is it your spouse who doesn't think you'll be successful in your network marketing business or whatever that is. But what she said, when you take 100% responsibility of your mindset and like, I'm going to take responsibility for good and bad of what I can control in my life, and no one else is my ruler now. Like it's if it's meant to be, it's up to me. So that is so empowering, especially for those network marketers out there building their businesses.
I want to ask you, Marina, what is your proudest moment?
Oh, I have several of them. The first I actually thought about it was Tony Robbins. He was speaking at our event. I don't remember, it probably was already like a second or the third time he was speaking. And he asked the question for the audience to write it down in their notes. What is the proudest moment of your life? And I thought about it. And then later, when I was sitting with Tony in the green room, I was like, Tony, remember when you asked that question? For me, the answer is right now, because I am a girl coming from Ukraine with all crazy, upbringing and, stigma of the society and the culture and all of that. And now I'm here sitting in a capitalism country, right, with my social upbringing. And I have the biggest, between me and my husband, we have the biggest stage in network marketing profession and for the entrepreneurs in general. And people who were my mentors, who were my idols, people that I was looking up to and learning from. That was the event when Bob Proctor was on stage and Robert Kiyosaki was on stage and Tony Robbins was on stage. And I was like, all of you, my idols, you are on my stage. People that I thought I will never, ever be able to meet in my life because I was going through their books and their documentaries and their courses and their trainings and everything. And they were just like, they were like superstars for me. They were celebrities. And now all of a sudden, you my peers, you my friends, and, I can sit at the same table with you. I mean, it's a big deal for me. So that's my proudest moment, was at that time to have the ability to grow myself, like we started with, like, who do you need to become in order to afford those yachts and jets? Who did I need to become in order for me to sit at the same table with Sir Richard Branson, with Magic Johnson, with I just had Gwyneth Paltrow and Kate Hudson at the women's event. Who do you need to become so you can earn the seat at the table with big thinkers, big visionaries, successful people? So that was like a big aha for me and a super proud moment. And another one very recently was in building the studio, because it was a super crazy project, super tight deadline. It's insane. I honestly, if you ask me to repeat it now, knowing everything I know, I would not be able to, because there was a lot of moving parts and pieces. The team worked tirelessly. We were literally working 24/7 because we were going through, in the construction time, we were in Thanksgiving. My team was working on Thanksgiving. I brought them turkey. I brought them kind of like all the stuffing and all that stuff, and they were eating and working through the Thanksgiving. So that's how tight our schedule was. So being able to deliver on that promise to myself and to my community was another very big kind of like proud moment in my life.
I love it.
Very
I've heard
inspiring.
that vision you had for that. Could you actually walk me through that? Like, so this stage, for people who don't know what it is, like the vision you had for it and how you brought it to life, could you just give like our listeners some insight into that? And I know you guys, I think I heard on an interview you did, you and Eric both did like 90-day sprints in this and just like working tirelessly towards it. Like, what did it look like to make that vision come to life?
It is scary. It's like Eric and I, we were sitting last August. We already pre-sold 7,000 tickets in our previous event for the GoPro. And so in December of 2019, we sold 7,000 tickets to 2020 event. And we were thinking like, we're going to sell another 2-3 times that number. So we're going to have about 15 or 20,000 people at the GoPro in 2020, and then COVID hit, right? And we kind of like everybody, we were just kind of like crossing our fingers and hoping for the best for a minute and just looking what's going to happen, if things going to change. And in early August, we realized nothing is going to change, at least for the live events. So we will not be able to have even our 7,000 tickets, because we were not even promoting, because we, in any good conscience of mind, we couldn't even promote it because we didn't know what we're promoting to. So but I still have that 7,000 people that are coming, or at least hoping to get some information and get the value that was promised. So we had to deliver on that promise. And Eric and I would just sit down and we're just like, okay, so how are we going to do it? And we thought about it's like, okay, we cannot do just a basic webinar because it's just not going to work. We cannot keep people engaged, sitting in front of the Zoom for 3 days. It's just not going to happen. It's like the attention span for teenagers is like 8 seconds. For grown up, probably like 30. So that's as good as we can look for. And then we decided that we just need to build a virtual studio because we already seen Tony Robbins did something similar. And Eric and I I remember like today, we had a meeting with the team and Eric is like, okay, we're going to build a studio. Yes. Okay, we're going to build a studio. Okay, who is going to build a studio? And I look left and right and I was like, I will. And Eric looked at me in disbelief because I never done anything like this. And I did not even know what the heck I just signed up for. And I was like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And I started building the team and there were a lot of hiccups on the way because I had to switch the team. And I cannot tell you how scary it was because, when you do not necessarily know what you're doing, you're really putting a lot of trust into the people that you think are the right people to get the job done. And like almost a month in, I realized that the people I put all of my trust into are not the right people. They're not going to get me through the finish line. So I had to switch horses in the middle of the race. That's not fun. So, but at the same time, I did not know, can I make it happen with a new team? But I knew for sure I cannot make it with the old team. So finding a new team, building that team and learning as I go in the entire process. That's why I'm telling that everything that happens is, first of all, is happening for a reason, but it's all teaching you and preparing you for the next big challenge or big project. So me I don't know if you guys heard, but it took me 4 years to build our house, right? The house that I'm sitting in right now, it's our dream home. It took me 4 years to build. I started as a fun project that you guys going to do it. I'm just going to be a happy wife, happy life, doing a little things here and there, just picking up the art. And I ended up being homeowner builder, right? It became my full-time job to finish this house. So it took me 4 years. But guess what? The things that I learned in that process prepared me for the studio build out because I got a totally empty shell. If you can imagine, 50,000 square foot facility is just like a brand new warehouse building, huge, totally empty shell with no air conditioning, with not enough. It's like it had power, but it needs to be distributed through the building. And we took the half of that space, 25,000 square feet. So I had to build a demising wall. We had to do air conditioning. We had to do everything because a lot of the technology produces a lot of heat. So we need to make sure that's taken care of. And the speakers on stage are not sweating on camera and being comfortable. So a lot of different pieces of technology that people prior did not put together. So it was, like you said, Wade, it was a 90-day game run for me and for Eric because I was doing my own 90-day push by building the studio, learning through on the go about the technology, how to put all these pieces together. While Eric was doing his own, he was promoting the event because we started with 7,000 tickets and we ended up having 36,000 people participating in that December event. So he was promoting event and selling tickets while I was building the studio as we go. So there were a lot of moments when, I did not know if I'm going to make it happen. There were a lot of moments when I was just so scared and so overwhelmed and so exhausted because we were literally working 12, 14 hours every single day for 3 months. During those 3 months, I probably slept on average 2-3 hours every single night. So I was on the huge adrenaline rush, on the huge stress. So that was my fuel I was running on. And it's a funny story, but there is a good lesson in it. I remember one morning I'm walking into our bedroom after I wrote the biggest check of my life, in one amount because I wrote similar amounts, but over time. But this was one time, it's gone off the door right now. So when I wrote that check, I got overwhelmed with fear. And I got overwhelmed did I just do the right thing? Or what if we fail? What if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't work? What if this? What if that? So I'm walking into the bathroom because it was still early and Eric was sleeping. And I was like, dude, wake up. I need to talk to you. And I was like, what we did just do. And and he's like, can we get the wire back? I'm calling my CFO. I was like, can I stop the wire? And she's like, you have to have a very serious reason for us to do that, but technically you can't. And I realized that, me peeing my pants, not necessarily good reason for the bank wire to be stopped. And I was like, okay, I guess that's the point of not return. That's the moment when we made a decision that we're going to make it happen. One way or the other, we're going to make it happen because there's only way forward because the bridge is burned. There is no way to go back. And you would be surprised how much you can accomplish when your back is against the wall. You would be surprised when failure is not an option. Of course, you're going to make mistakes, but quitting is not an option. So when I realized that, and when I got into that state, I started working even harder. I started working even with more intensity because I did not have, a place to fall back into. So that was a pretty intense 90 days, but it built my confidence so significantly. I feel like I had a personal, not even a growth, like a personal stretch in those 90 days to the such a degree that I feel like years and years and years were condensed in those 3 months, because I came out of it much stronger, much more confident, much more believing in my own abilities. I discovered that I'm actually a badass, because like before I was convincing myself and I was telling myself I had like, little signs everywhere. I have a badass on the plates of my car, all those different weird things. But I did not believe it to the core, that I am capable of moving mountains, and accomplishing that project with such a success. I learned that I'm capable, I'm deserving, I'm worthy, and all of those things contributed to my personal growth and my confidence big time.
Oh, I love that. Sometimes you just gotta go for it, take that huge leap of faith, and it will stretch you. When you burn the ships like Marina did, they wrote the biggest check ever to the point where they were like, can we get this back? But sometimes when you burn those ships and option A, forging ahead, is the only option, that's where we learn the most. We're going to make it happen. As humans, we are so resilient. We will make it happen. So that is super empowering. Okay, one of the last questions here before we wrap up, Marina. So you and your husband, Eric, work together. Sandy and I work together in our network marketing business. In this podcast, we're co-hosts Getting Magnetic. In our 90-Day Habits Journal for network marketers. Everything, we have an investment company together. Everything we do is together. For those out there listening, help them understand or empower. Like, let's say that they were interested in them. How do you and Eric navigate entrepreneurship, building business together? Do you like lean into each other's strengths, or what does that look like for you guys?
Well, here's the thing. There is a blessing and a curse at the same time by working together. Some people are meant to work together. Some people are not, and I keep hearing, especially from the women inside of our space, they're coming as like, oh my gosh, like, I just wish I had what you and Eric have. And I wish we were a power couple, but my husband is totally unsupportive. Well, my husband is this, or my husband is that, or my spouse is this. So first of all, there are a lot of different dynamics in our business, because especially if it's a female driven company, when you have like mostly female products, that is a female driven company. And sometimes those girls, they're not necessarily want their spouses to be building the business with them, because it's my business. I built it. Now you all of a sudden coming and telling me how to do my business. No, thank you. You just stay there. Right. So that's one dynamic. Another dynamic is when they come, you really want them to come, but then now they come and now they all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's my business, it's my downline, you're going to do this and this and this. And now they mess up all your process, they mess up your culture and do all that stuff. So that's another kind of like extreme. But of course, working together, if people can work together, it's a really big blessing, because for us especially, it took us time to get to the point where we build, because like we're both very strong people with strong personalities, with strong ideas. Like I always said, I'm not bossy, I just have better ideas, right? So it took us time to learn how to coexist, and not just coexist but prosper as business partners and partners in life. Because if something happens in your business life, right, if there is some disagreement or whatever, and now you take it back into your personal life, now you have a mess in your hands, and you do not want that. But in my opinion, there are two very important things that need to be present in every person's life, personal or professional. It's trust and respect. If there is no trust and respect, for me, it's just a matter of time when this relationship is going to be over. So understanding that those are my very high values, Eric and I had to sit down and right at the beginning of our relationship to come to understanding that we have to build this on a solid foundation. I'm not even be able to build an empire on a sandbar. It needs to be a solid foundation. And in order for us to get to that solid foundation, we need to build it on the relationship of trust. So it took time not because like, oh, I don't trust you. The trust I'm talking about is, being vulnerable and be okay to be vulnerable in front of your spouse and knowing that you're not going to get the poking back. It's like, oh, look at you. You're so dumb. Look at you. You're so like blonde or whatever, all those different things. Just understanding that the reason why building the studio, such an insane project, was successful for me and Eric, because we trust each other unconditionally. I knew that he will deliver on the tasks. I knew it. I knew that he will promote the event and people will show up. And because it was $20 million studio, we did not have $20 million, So he was actually promoting and making money to a certain degree, obviously not all 20 million, but so I can pay the bills on the other side. At the same time, he was trusting me so unconditionally, because if I do not deliver on my promise, all these people that he just promoted to, there will be no place for them to show up. So us trusting and knowing we're going to get the job done at the best of our abilities was really, really important. And also understanding that he knows I got his back no matter what. We all make mistakes. We're all humans. And I know he got my back too. I made some financial mistakes in our business and he made some too. But we understand that, we trust each other. We know it was not done from malicious intent or whatever. It's just, we're humans. We learn and grow. So just make sure you learn from those mistakes and don't repeat them again. So building that unconditional trust was really important, and respect, because he knows that I'm a very proud person, and it's like, that's the way you're going to trigger my buttons. If you just disrespect me, I'm just going to walk away and I'm gone, because I'm at the point of my life that I think one of the luxuries of being successful is you can choose people that you can work with, and you can choose people that you want to live with. Unfortunately, a lot of women get stuck in abusive relationships, like I was stuck in the relationship, verbally abusive relationship, because we're looking for that security. And that security is not really a security, because it's not secure. We just fool ourselves that that's how everybody else lives. We fool ourselves that, being constantly in fights and constantly going to consultants and to the, whatever you call them, the couples counseling and all that stuff is normal. No, it's not. It's not normal. I learned that, the true love exists. I learned that true partnerships exist. I learned that you can be absolutely happy and work together. I learned all of those things when they were not necessarily true in my previous marriage or Eric's previous marriage. So understanding that it's going to take time, right? It's going to take time to build that solid foundation. It's going to take time because, especially for us coming from different cultures, he had his previous marriage, I had my previous marriage. We had baggage from both of those relationships and psychic damage from those relationships, because certain things would trigger certain behavior or certain reaction, right? So you kind of like try to avoid that behavior. So being honest in his previous marriage was not necessarily something that was rewarded, especially if you're not happy about something. So kind of like constantly teaching each other and pulling each other is like, that's okay. It's safe. I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to, tell you you're dumb or whatever, or stab you in the back because you messed up or because you told me that you are not happy with this and this and that. So it takes time. It takes time to get to that level of trust and respect. But once you get there, man, it feels like the universe opens up to you and pours you with the amazing opportunities, amazing people in your life once you get to that stage. So I wish for everybody, like Eric and I would call ourselves two-headed monster, us against the world. So I wish you guys in your personal relationships get to the state where you are a powerhouse and going through your life and your business with the love and respect and trust to each other.
Wow, what an answer, Marina. I love listening to you. I could listen to you all day. And honestly, what you said at the beginning, how people will come and be like, oh, my spouse isn't supportive, or how do you do that? People say that type of stuff all the time. And it definitely is a learning journey. We're still figuring it out. We're still figuring out our strengths and leaning into each other's, like, okay, you're going to own that. I'm going to own this. We make mistakes every day. But truly, I so agree with you that it comes down to trust and respect. And you guys do a beautiful job of exemplifying that. And you absolutely are a badass. It's been fantastic to have you on here today. We are so grateful for you. And I would love for you to tell our listeners, who I know are going to want more of Marina, how can they find you? How can they follow you? Tell us about maybe your next event, or any ways people can stay in touch with what's up with Marina and Eric Worre.
Well, probably the easiest one is to follow me on Instagram, because I'm not necessarily a Facebook girl, kind of lost interest for that platform, even though we do a lot of business on the platform. But I personally spend most of my time on Instagram. So find Marina Worre. I have about 43,000 followers right now. I'm just giving you this heads up only because, there are a lot of fake accounts, and there are a lot of Marina this, Marina that, whatever. So if you see an account that has a couple hundred people, it's probably not the real account. So just find the real one and follow that one. And I do some inspirational stuff there. I communicate with my audience there. I do go live sometimes on Eric main page, Network Marketing Pro with Eric Worre on Facebook. So I do love that. And GoPro is going to be our biggest next event, because it's going to be super fun. We learned so many amazing things from the last year. We had over 180,000 people, women specifically, participating at the women's event this May, which was an incredible experience. And we learned so much how to make this experience even more interactive, even more better, even more fun, more valuable. So I'm super excited about what's GoPro this year going to look like. So follow me, follow Eric, and you will know everything that is happening in our world. And there are going to be a lot of good things that we can help you to see a bigger picture in your life, in your personal, professional, and network marketing life.
Well, thank you for being part of this, and thank you for helping us check something off our bucket list of having you here as a guest. It truly is an honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to finish with a couple words to all of your audience. Dream bigger and dream faster, make things faster, because we all have most of our limiting beliefs that are ruling our lives, and we're not dreaming big enough. So if your dreams are not scaring you, they're not, that means that you are not dreaming big enough. So that would be the biggest advice I would give to myself when I was starting. I would not change anything. My learning experiences, my mistakes, my failures, I would leave all of that, but I would just tell that girl, dream bigger and move faster. That would be my best advice.
Thank you so much, Marina. So much value. We are so grateful to connect with you here, and we look forward to meeting you in person one day.
It's happening.
I would love it. Well, thank you so much, guys, and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Well, we can officially check that off of our bucket list.
That was amazing.
So grateful to have had Marina on. And if you enjoyed today's episode, I double dog dare you to screenshot your phone right now. You're probably listening on your phone, and share it on your stories. Tag Marina. You can find her handle. She's MarinaWorre, Marina Worre. Tag Getting Magnetic. You can tag me, Sandy Claus 7, and you can tag Wade, which is Wellness with Wade. We are so appreciative of you just spreading the word of loving our podcast and loving the messages and the guests that we share on here. So it really is the ultimate compliment when you share it.
And we are also going to do another special edition. We are going to give away $50 to someone random who leaves a review after this episode is aired, a 5-star review. We're going to pick someone out. We're going to read it. We're going to PayPal you $50. So we'll get connected with you there. So we are appreciative of your reviews, of you guys sharing it. We see you. We're so grateful for you. You guys are why we do this podcast, why it is even on air. And until next time.
Only those that can see the invisible can do the impossible.
So remember, you are magnetic.